Welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Podcast, hosted by CRM technology and sales process expert Christopher Smith, talking with sales leaders that have separated themselves from the rest of the pack. Listen to find out how the best of the best achieve success with their team and CRM technology. And remember, unless you are the lead dog, the view never changes.
Welcome to Sales Lead Dog. My guest for today's episode is Darren Haygood. Darren is the Chief Revenue Officer for Streamline. Darren, welcome to Sales Lead Dog.
Chris, thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to be here this afternoon and appreciate you making time to have a little conversation here and about how we can, share some of the stories and background and experience and hopefully, learn a little something along the way.
Likewise, I really appreciate you coming on. I consider this a gift. To give up an hour of your time, as busy as I'm sure you are, it's important. Tell me a bit about Streamline.
Yeah, so Streamline Auto Solutions is a dealer-focused lending solution. So essentially the space that we sit in is in the finance space, in the automotive ecosystem. And I would probably start by telling you that without exception, finance is probably the most neglected and ignored department in all of automotive. I literally just came back from NADA a couple of weeks back, and you just look at the spectrum of all of the vendors and all of the solutions that are out there, and I could probably count on one hand, if not both of my hands, the number of companies that are there and invested in trying to help our F&I managers be more efficient and be more profitable in their job, right? And yet, Chris, if we don't have a funded and approved deal, none of this matters.
Right.
Right. So what Streamline does, like if the 30,000 foot view of what we have is that, any and every car deal is kind of based on three things. You've got the customer, and a customer that's got credit challenges or negative equity or max advance constraints, which is a growing segment of our population. They're coming in and trying to find as much car as they possibly can for their budget. Right. And then you've got the lenders that have their guidelines and their approval criteria based on their risk and their lending threshold. And the average dealer works with about 20 or 30 different lenders outside of the captive. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you've got the inventory. You've got the car and the vehicle that the consumer is trying to buy. And often one of those three things doesn't make sense. Right. You've got the consumer that has a monthly budget that's in mind and has no idea how that's going to happen. They know they'd like to get a third row SUV and they like to stay under $500 a month. And they want to come into a dealership and make that process as seamless and as painless as possible. Unfortunately, most of us in the front line of the car dealership also have no idea how to make that happen. And we take the customer through this journey in a process of trying to land them on the right car, which we may or may not succeed at. And often this kind of train wreck of a problem ends up in the lap of the F&I professional. And they've got to figure out a way to solve it, get the customer approved within the guidelines that they've been talking about for the last 90 minutes to 2 hours, right? Yeah. And oh, by the way, the primary job of that F&I manager is to turn around and sell them F&I products.
Yeah.
So Streamline is the easy button in a way that sits in the workflow within Route 1 and DealerTrack to help that F&I manager quickly and easily figure out a way to make it work.
Yep. Quick and easier are the operative words there. Because we've all been through that process where you're like, all right, I just spent an hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever, with the salesperson. Now I got to sit down with the finance guy, and who knows how long this is going to take.
Correct.
And right. You want to make it easy. You want to make it painless. It's all about the experience because you want that person coming back when totally. 4 years, 5 years down the road or 3 years, whatever, and they want to buy another car. You want them coming back to your dealership.
Totally right. And listen, the segment of consumers in America that are looking to buy a car that have affordability challenges, that's the fastest growing segment of our population.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I think for those of us that are, that are out there that have got really great credit and it's an seamless, easy, automatic approval through the captive, okay, sure, that's great. But there is a large chunk where that isn't as seamless and easy. Yeah. And so finding ways that we can humanize and make it easier for that process to go smoothly is beneficial for all three parties. Yeah. Obviously, the consumer enjoys the experience more. The dealer is happier because they time and they end up making more money. And then obviously the lender is happy because they get a deal that fits within the approved lender guidelines.
Right.
So like I said, we're excited. The great news about this, and the reason why I'm probably most excited about the opportunity to work in this company is with virtually very, very little customer service and management, and very, very little sales, which I know we're going to talk about today. We currently are in over 7,000 dealerships around the country, and we have 12,000 active users leveraging and using the Streamline platform in some capacity on a daily basis.
That's amazing. That's a big number.
So my job is figuring out a way to like help to grow and commoditize this user base. Yeah. So it's a new challenge for me in the arc and the journey of my career, and one I'm pretty excited to kind of tackle.
All right, well, let's get into that. When you look back over your career, Darren, you've achieved a lot. If you had to boil it down to three things that really driven and led to your success, what are those three things?
Well, one, I always make it a point to surround myself with people that are much smarter and better at this than I am, right? I have been very fortunate, knock on wood somewhere, to work with some of really amazing individuals through over the last 25, 30 years in the car business. And without exception, like that has been the key ingredient in trying to push me and teach me every single day. Because when, like most of us, I didn't have any intentions of getting into the car business. That's when I got out of grad school, I didn't think that this is where I would end up, right?
Right.
But once, like many of us, like countless stories that I've heard over and over again, once you're in it, there is this addictive nature to this fraternity, right? Like I like to make the joke all the time that the car business employs tens and tens of thousands of people, but it's the world's smallest fraternity, right? And there's a passion to it, and there's an addictive nature to it that you just can't beat. So again, one, surrounding myself with really, really smart people that push and challenge me every single day. Two, I kind of really never accept no or maybe as the first answer to any challenge or thing that we're trying to do. If we're trying to grow, if we're trying to change the perception and scale the business, you've got to think differently about how you're going to achieve those objectives. And so like standard, practical, pragmatic ways to look and assess at a problem and figure out ways to try to I really try to come around it from different angles and try to approach things with a different lens. Like I said, I've had some good mentors to help me in thinking about things that way. And that has been helpful, right? And then thirdly, I try to listen. As much as we always talk in the sales lane, I had a really good professor back in grad school way back in the day, and probably the best course that I ever took in college was on listening. I took a whole course in active listening in grad school.
Yeah, I actually subscribed to an active listening course, and I've taken it 3 times now, I think. And I was just talking to my daughter saying, I think it's time for go number 4.
Sure.
Just to go through and remind myself that, it's a tool you always have to keep. You never get there, I think. It's something you can always work to improve.
I couldn't agree with you more. Like, again, as we all kind of go through the journey of this, they teach us how to read, they teach us how to write, and they teach us how to talk, right? Yeah. No one ever teaches you how to listen.
Right.
And the most valuable skill in selling is active listening. It's not even close. All the others just pale in comparison, right?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the third one, right? Surround myself with smarter, better people, think differently about solving problems, and always try to listen first.
I love that. Do you have like a mantra or a core theme to how you approach sales?
Yeah, I love that you asked me that question. I think again, like you mentioned, I've been very fortunate to work with a couple of the largest digital marketing companies in our space. I hope, knock on wood, to make Streamline the third in that journey, right? But in growing those organizations and companies, the one thing that I always try to impart as a theme and as a mantra for our sales organization is never try to sell anything. Like I remember my very first year when I was at dealer.com, and we took this small but nimble team of like 20 to 30 of us there, and we had spent all this money on this booth, and the CEO and the chief revenue officer at the time, like I was in charge of major accounts when I got there, right? And they were like, okay, how many contracts are we going to sign on the floor over the next first, 3 days? And I was like, guys, actually, like, get rid of the printer. Don't bring a printer. We're actually not going to sell anything. We're not going to try to pencil anything. We're not going to try to contract anybody. All we're going to do is try to have conversations with our clients, because everybody else is here trying to sell them something, right? And I just want to have conversations with our clients, which carries through whether you're at an ADA or whether you're having a one-to-one conversation with someone. I need to try to understand what problem you're trying to solve, Chris. Mm-hmm. and tell me about your job. And like, what are the things that you're trying to do as a personal other human being trying to like be more successful at your job, make your job easier and make more money. If I understand that about you and what motivates you, maybe you'll give me some answers that along the way, if I get lucky, I've got a product or solution at my company that'll help in that journey. But if not, at least I understand you more. And at least I understand why we're having this conversation. I can't stand it when you dive into a sales conversation and somebody can't wait to give you a demo. I mean, that just drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Again, probably the best, and I won't give names of clients, but probably the best experience that I ever had early on in my career, back when I worked at dealer.com, is we had this very large client that was out in California, and I'd flown all the way out there with two counterparts. I was nervous as hell because I just didn't have, all this pressure to try to make this deal happen, right? And we had built all these we had built mock sites for them, and we had done all of these things. And no joke, 15 minutes before walking into their conference room, where there were like 8 key decision makers that were there, the server went down and everything broke. So I'm walking into a meeting, and I sat there for 2.5 hours and did not open my laptop.
Right.
And we won the business.
Yeah.
And we were selling websites, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was perhaps like trial by fire, if for nothing else, but I had to put my own mantra to test in the most important and meaningful way, that I'd have a connected conversation and really get invested about everybody in that room and the problem they were trying to solve and the ways that we could solve it together. And I never cracked open the laptop to show them a damn thing.
I love that story, because I sell CRM in my world. And so many people want to jump right in. Show me the technology. And I have to tell them, look, technology is a tool.
That's right.
That's all it is. It's not on its own. It's not going to do a damn thing for you. I need to help you figure out what's the best way we're going to leverage this tool.
That's right.
What problems are you trying to solve? What pain points do you have? What's holding you back from achieving your strategic goals? Because all you care about is the outcome that tool can deliver, right? You don't care about the tool. You want the outcome. That's what matters.
Right.
Hey, we're taking a quick break to thank you for listening to and supporting the Sales Lead Dog podcast. I want to take a moment and tell you about my book, CRM Shouldn't Suck. If your CRM feels more like a black hole for data than something that actually helps your team sell, you're not alone. The book breaks down why CRMs fail for so many businesses and what you can do about it. No fluff, just real strategies that work. So go to crmshouldn'tsuck.com to order your free copy right now. That's right, we're giving it away. And while you're there, take 2 minutes to check out the CRM Impact Score. It's a quick diagnostic that shows you how your CRM is really performing, where it's helping you and where it's hurting you. You'll get a personalized report with clear, actionable next steps you can start right away to maximize your CRM investment. We've also got blogs, videos, and a bunch of other resources to help you finally get the results you were promised when you bought your CRM. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that like button and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes of Sales Lead Dog. Okay, let's get back to this episode of the Sales Lead Dog podcast.
Tell me the problem that we're trying to solve. Tell me why it's an important problem to solve in the first place, right?
Yeah.
And then we'll talk about how we can solve it. If you start at the end with like how you're going to solve it, no, like they just think that you're pitching them. You never got into why.
Exactly.
Also of Simon Sinek, and you start with the why, right? I'm sure like a lot of people are familiar with his work and his company's work. But yeah, like it's all about asking questions and trying to understand what are the motivations and the pain points. And if you put that first, it will guide you on a journey that's very different than trying to be some product specialist and demoing the tool that you're quote unquote trying to sell.
Right. Because I think taking the other focus, you're making it all about yourself. You're making it all about the product. And, I had to learn that the hard way early in my career, that it's not what matters. It's not why they're talking to you.
No, that's right. So, and in your business, listen, as it relates to a CRM, the process and the workflow from one dealership to the next or one dealer group to the next, I wish it was the same, brother. I wish it was like cookie cutter. Like you and I we wouldn't be chatting right now. You'd be like on some boat somewhere, right?
Right.
But it's not. They're all snowflakes. So one dealership and one dealership group is entirely different in their workflow as the next, right? And so how they will use the technology and who uses it and when they use it and the frequency and the device that they use it on, all different. All different.
Completely. So
giving a demo doesn't matter until I understand how to position the thing that I'm talking about in the first place.
No, exactly. It's, I often tried, early on, I was like, oh, we got to get a demo. I'm like, I've learned, no. Actually, that's like a bad idea for just what you said. It's like, I'm going to show you vanilla.
Yeah.
But you need chocolate with sprinkles on it. And like, you need a lot more than just vanilla, so then they're like,
I think it's also important to share at this point. We are in the sales business. We are all doing this to hopefully close business, right? Drive additional revenue gains. And hopefully if you've got enough, insight and like passion about the company that you're working for, you're trying to sign good business. You're trying to sign recurring revenue business that's going to stick, not something you're just trying to throw over the fence to accommodate your comp plan and move from one thing to the next. That's just not my makeup. I would never have people on our team that's their mantra, right? Like just out for themselves. But if you think and truly believe that I'm trying to sign really good client partnerships and not just deals, then here's what you're also going to find that's true in your journey. Your tool or solution is not for everybody.
Yes.
There are just going to be some clients right from the jump. If you ask the right questions that you're thinking to yourself, oh, wait a minute, our stuff, like these guys aren't ready for our stuff, or our thing isn't going to work for them.
Right.
And you know how many times people just soldier forward and they do the damn demo anyway and might as well be talking to the wall.
Yeah.
The thing that's interesting, and I don't want to talk out of both sides of my mouth, but what I have also found very effective is like the standard thing people will say, and they reference the takeaway close. Well, if you do it at the very beginning, watch what happens.
Yeah.
The car business is interesting. There is nothing more effective than telling a car dealer that they like the thing that I've got, I don't think is going to work for you. I'm actually going to, save you 28 minutes and give you back a half hour in your day. And like, I just don't think we're the right fit because based on what you've told me, like our solution, it's just more advanced than what you guys are currently doing in your store or however you want to position it. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They will lean in and be like, yeah, well, show it to me anyway. I want to see this thing. Now I really want to pay attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But if you do that up front, again, it also drives the authenticity that you're.
Yep.
And then if in fact it doesn't work at the end of the demo that you sat through, the client will be like, yeah, I appreciate you because like you were straightforward and honest with me up front.
Yeah. Yeah. I tell you, that honesty is the best policy when it comes to selling, it's like, cause like you're saying, it's a small world. It may seem big, but it's not.
No, it's not.
And word gets around.
Right.
And we can all smell it when we're being fed a line of baloney,
No doubt about it.
Yeah. So you mentioned early on, you never envisioned yourself being on this path you're on. When you were in school, what was your vision for your future?
Oh, listen, I come from a long line of teachers, right? So like both my parents were teachers, my aunt, uncle were teachers, their parents were teachers, and I went to school, I got my degree in education. I was going to come out of school and I was going to teach, right?
Yep.
And I did that for exactly 1 year. And I realized that I was spending half my paycheck trying to buy supplies and things that the county and the school at the time didn't have for their kids. And I was like, I might want to look at other opportunities here to maybe break this cycle and then try to find something else. I kind of just, it's in my background in dialogue for anybody who looks up there, but I was part of I took a job with Chrysler way back in the day, and I was part of the original team that marketed it and brought to market the PT Cruiser.
Oh, no kidding.
Right. So again, I love in my career, I want to do things that are slightly different and maybe take some risks and challenges. And that's, it actually was the original SUV. It was a category, like a multifunctional type of, deal. Yep. And man, it was a lot of fun to go market and sell. Now it's a lovely buy here, pay here car. So it was this kind of subtle feeder system of how I backed into the car business.
Yep.
But it was funny when I took my very first job in retail, I took it at a store that I was signing in to be the marketing director for this Highline store. And I probably got the job off a referral from corporate to the guy that, they did a favor for me. Right. And I remember very clearly the GM brought me into his office and he said, young man, I don't know what they think that you, like kind of job you think you, but I don't need any wine and cheese events. I need you to sell cars around here.
Right,
So
right.
if you can't figure out a way to do that, then like this isn't going to work for you.
Right.
And so no joke, again, another quick story for you. At the time, so I figured out in Florida, I'd relocated to Florida. I was like, standing outside in a shirt and tie in 90-degree weather is probably not for me. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to do this slightly differently. And so I walked into his office and I said, hey, who's in charge of handling like the internet leads that come in?
Right.
This is at a time where, no joke, all of the internet leads that came off of their brand new website, because this is in like the late 90s,
Right.
came in personally to his AOL email address. They all just came to him.
Yep.
He so quickly handed that over to me. He's like, oh, perfect. This is great. You can have this. We'll give you an office over there back in the corner, and you can be the quote unquote internet manager.
Yeah.
I was fortunate, lucky enough, again, just maybe dumb timing, Chris, but parlay that working for Asbury to like 1-2 years later, I was the director of e-commerce for that entire automotive group, and then director of e-commerce for the Southeast for Asbury. And it was at a time that like I helped create one of probably the first BDCs that existed in automotive. It wasn't even a thing yet back in the day. Because, it used to be that like, hey, we can't give Frank, the car guy that's smoking a cigarette out front, he can't be bothered with the internet customers. We've got to go create an entire department for people to communicate with these customers that are online. Yeah. That sounds so dumb to say that out loud today, but that's how it used to be, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
How they got started.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was the journey. And when I found myself selling cars the first month, and I didn't know what I was doing. I had no clue. I just set appointments for people. And they would come in and I'd do what my desk manager told me and put it together. And I think I sold 16 cars the very first month. Yeah. And I got a check for more money than I had ever seen in my entire life. And I was like, I'm never going back to teaching school.
No. Not when you're having that kind of
success.
Yeah. What prompted you to pursue a path in leadership?
I will mention by name. So he has since passed, but probably the best mentor that I had in the retail car business was a gentleman by the name of Nick D'Annunzio. And he was kind enough, again, to kind of take me under my wing way back in the day when I worked in retail and said, okay, if you really want to grow in this business and you want to do something beyond just selling cars, you need to do these fundamental things. And so he just took the time. And he didn't even live in the same city as I was. He lived in North Carolina and I was in Florida, but I built this really great relationship over, the course of 4 or 5 years. And I tried to listen a lot. I asked him a lot of questions. I would watch and learn and pay attention to the things that he would say. And he basically figured out a way and helped me figure out a way that I could take what I, gleaned from my background and my passion of teaching and just turn that slightly, and that's all you're doing. Yeah. You're just teaching other people, but you're teaching them sales skills.
Yeah.
And if you do some very key fundamental things, a couple of which we've already talked about, it works, and it is a repeatable formula. And if you just kind of listen, technology has changed vastly, right? And the landscape of how we communicate with prospects and customers and coworkers and colleagues have all changed. But the basic fundamentals of what makes people tick and what makes people want to work with one business or one company over another, that has not changed for the 30 some odd years I've been at it, right? And so I think those key components are, again, he was just instrumental in helping me understand, you can do what you already know how to do. I'm just going to help you apply it to the car business.
Right.
And then when I was in retail, I got out of retail. I had worked for a couple large groups and I was a GM for a good chunk of time. I affectionately refer to that, that 5-year stint, I affectionately refer to that as my time in the car business. Like I served a sentence or something, 8, 90-hour weeks and, bell to bell. But it taught me more than I could. It's an education that I never would have gotten any other way, right? But then I got on the vendor side of the space in 2008 when everything kind of went upside down and sideways. And that's when I had it was a ton of fun. Like my role in my job at dealer.com and then subsequently at Cars and Dealer Inspire, I had the great opportunity to work with 2 absolute titans in this business, one being Rick Gibbs and the other being Joe Chura. And working shoulder to shoulder with those guys for, 5 and 6 year stints was, I wasn't working. Every day was just a new set of challenges and ideas and opportunities that we had this unlimited playground to go, put into practice. And even on the days when it sucked,
Yeah.
When people said no and it was miserable and you weren't high-fiving each other and you were like, the other thing that I know about sales to be true, if you are a real sales professional, you wake up every day worried you're going to get fired. Yeah. This is the other thing, like universally I know to be true. I've got other friends and colleagues and they're all the same way.
Yeah. Yep.
But that environment where you learn something every day, to have a new set of challenges to go apply, was just tons of fun. It was loads of fun. And I think the thing that I'm probably most proud of, as far as like, you asked the question and I don't want to wander off too much, which I'm apt to do, but I think the thing that I'm most proud of is that like the little boilerplate room at dealer.com in Burlington, Vermont, there was like a sub-rented space off to the side. And it was this long table and there's 5 or 6 guys and gals that were in there that we were like trying to figure out, like, are we doing inside sales or major account sales or enterprise, and who do we go after? So, well, 5 out of those 6 individuals now run their own companies.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing.
It's probably the coolest thing, like watching other people achieve success beyond what they thought possible starting in this small little thing. It's not just the one startup story. It's one startup that turned into 6 other startups.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
That's really cool. That's really cool. What keeps, you've been doing this a long time. What keeps the fire in your belly for you? Keeps you motivated?
Yeah, I really do think it goes back to my teaching roots. Well, 2 things. One, I hate losing more than I like winning. Probably. There's a lot of people that would say that corny thing, but it's certainly true of me. So I love chasing the opportunity to try to get better every single day. And I love, I'm not the guy I wish I was, but I'm not the guy that builds the tech, right? I'm not the guy that comes from the startup story that like built the thing that's going to change the world. But I guess my passion and like my Swiss Army knife, if you will, is partnering with great guys like Matt Lasher, like I am today, who's the founder and the president of Streamline, Matt and John Schultz. And these guys have built an amazing thing. And I think what I have a real passion about is trying to find a way to help that thing grow at scale. Yeah. And I also have kind of like 2 or 3 simple rules as it relates to partnering with companies. And so if I can impart this for anybody that's listening to this podcast with you, if you want a career in sales that you find a passion for, that's not the daily grind, that is not something that you just get up every day going, oh God, I got to go to that sales meeting and I got to report out on like my activities. And here's the thing that I got to do. And I got to talk about this opportunity and where it is in the pipeline and all that BS that we do, right? I kind of have like, again, 2 or 3 simple rules. One is, the company that I'm working for, does it offer a product or solution that is unique to the industry that it's in? Okay. And then 2, does it solve the problem for that industry in a unique way? And then 3, are the people that are running it or the people that built it, are they in it to try to spin it and flip it and sell it because they can they're going to do 6 of these things? Or are they trying to build a long-term sustainable business? If I get yeses on all 3 of those, man, we're on to something.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. You have to have alignment around core values and things like that. I think it's super, super important. That I think a lot of people, especially early in your careers, you don't understand that. And so you'll chase things that don't really matter. Yep. And you find out the hard way, that's probably wasn't a good idea going after this path, Right.
And listen, people will find, I've been lucky and fortunate. I've had 3 jobs, right? So that's great. Over 30 years, I think that's pretty good batting there, right? I have colleagues that would tell me you should have had 5 other jobs, because nowadays it seems like the current generation, like if they stick in a job for less than 2 years, like, oh man, this is not good for my resume. I got to bounce to 6 other things. So, maybe I'm old school, but I just also understand that sometimes young people or even people in their 30s or 40s will be like, okay, I've got to make a decision because I've got the responsibility to drive financial security for my family and for my kids, all the things, right? So sometimes you make decisions that are short-sighted. That's cool. Everybody does that.
Yeah.
But my only guidance and advice was, if you find yourself in the wrong seat, like, get out of it fast.
Yeah. Because
there are, I promise you, 3 or 4 other opportunities out there that are better suited. You just got to go ask better questions and you'll find it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, done a lot of coaching over the years. And one of the things we talk, when it comes to managing people, hire slow, fire fast. You have to do that for yourself too.
Totally right.
It's like you can't just jump into an opportunity. You got to take your time and make sure it's a good fit, not just for you, but for them as well. And if it's not, move on, because all you're doing is inflicting more pain, and
you're doing yourself and that company a disservice. Again, here's what I also know about myself, Chris, is that I am a terrible salesperson. I am awful at it if I don't believe in the product or solution that I'm representing.
Yeah.
And I also know, having done this a long time, when somebody's faking it, when somebody is like reading the script and going through the thing and trying to do the best job they actually, and I can just tell that like their heart is not in it. Like this is not the thing that they want to die on the vine for, right? Yep. And when you find somebody that it really is that passionate about that thing, man, it just comes shining through. They me in the conference room at the thing where like the laptop broke. I didn't even need collateral. I was so fired up and about the company I was working for, I was willing to sit there in the dark for 2 hours and just talk to them until they ran out of questions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it takes. It's still people talking to people. It's not selling, but it's like you have to build the relationship. You have to build trust.
Yep. Totally right.
Yeah. Yeah. Now that, to me, that's my favorite part of selling, is building the relationships. And I tell people, I don't sell, I educate.
Yep.
And it sounds like to you, with especially your educational background, that sounds very much like what your approach is.
Yeah, totally right. I'm literally just trying to ask questions, and I'm trying to get the team members and the leaders that work for me and with me to also ask better questions. Yep. And then, again, if you do a little homework and you apply some active listening skills, one of the, and again, we can do one of the little things here right live so that people know that I'm not just full of BS here, but paraphrasing is and it's like the second pillar in most of the active listening skills. One of the most powerful tools that you can apply. And what paraphrasing is when you say to me something that is a comment or a concern you have, I just give it right back to you.
Yep.
Say, Chris, okay, what I heard you say is da 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 da. And I just kind of reword it a little bit, but I give it right back. Yep. And the astonishing thing about doing that, and I do it all the time, is that the other person goes, oh my God, this guy's actually paying attention. He's listening to what I'm saying. He or she, right, is actually engaged in not just trying to sell me something, but they actually heard what I said.
Yeah.
So sprinkling that in and doing that thing, that's the education. That's the part of where you break past I'm here to give you a demo for the next 30 or 45 minutes to instead okay, here's somebody who's a student of their craft and a good representative of the company that they are, in front of me with.
Yep.
And that's going to pay exponential dividends.
It really is. People want to know they're being heard.
Totally.
I was on a call a couple weeks ago, and I brought out some of the stuff the guy was asking about our firm, and he's going, Chris, I hear that from everybody. And I'm like, I bet you do. It's like, that's why I'm like, you asked the question, so I answered it. But the difference I think between us and our company, we guarantee our results. I'll stand behind it. Sure. I will bend over backwards. I'm going to die before I fail you as a customer. It's just not going to happen, and so, I hope you find someone that works, that is good for you, but just know if you pick us, we're going to die on that hill.
Yeah. And listen, I think what's interesting, I worked in the technology space, and certainly there are a couple of the largest digital marketing website firms that are out there. And the other thing that I know to be true for certain doing this a long period of time is that the tech is going to break.
Yeah.
For all of the ways that we try to prevent it from breaking, at some point, for reasons that are outside of our control and sometimes self-inflicted, the tech is going to break.
Yep.
Right. So I also kind of say that.
Yeah.
We are going to probably in this journey, if we have a good partnership, we're going to make mistakes.
Yep.
But the thing that we hope to do is that when we screw up or if something breaks, we want to be the first to tell you that happened rather than you finding out about it the other way.
Yep. Oh, yeah. And we're going to own it and we're going to fix it.
Yep. We'll say we're going to learn from this thing, and this didn't go the way we wanted it to go. And hopefully the pivot and the change we're going to make is going to help the result for the next thing go better.
Yep. Real quick, CRM, do you love it or you hate it?
Well, so I'm old enough, I guess, that I've watched the journey from no CRMs where we were just keeping notes on the side, right? And handwritten, if you will, to the entire journey of where we are today in the evolution of AI. So that's the spectrum that I look at, right? Listen, I think It is, I think CRM, if it was utilized the way that it is intended, is perhaps one of the greatest efficiency tools that exists for us. You know this because it is your space, and I'm like, I don't know anything about CRMs. I know enough to make myself dangerous. But what I know is that most dealers, certainly in automotive, use about 10% of the capability of the tool that they've got.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And
I see that all the time.
Right. So I people ask me all the time, like, what's the best CRM company? And I always answer the question the same way. The one that you use.
Yeah.
Because if you will use it and if you will lean in and get the most out of it, it's probably going to service your needs very, very well.
Yep.
If you just think that it's going to be a receptacle way to quickly fire off a bunch of emails or texts or communications to the customer and none of that is personalized, then it's going to be the worst investment that you're possibly making.
100%.
Your salespeople are going to hate it and they're going to think it's this necessary evil. And I've been in stores and cultures where they say dumb things like, well, if it's not in the CRM, then it didn't happen. Yeah. Right. Well, that's a great way to try to encourage people to use a tool.
Right.
That sounds awesome. Right.
Yeah. It comes back to, you mentioned the why message earlier. You have to have a why message for your team. And that's hard for a lot of companies to do because if they're really honest, the way they set up their technology is really to support the leadership. It's not really to support the front line. Leadership wants better reports. They want analytics and things like that. So they construct the system to fill that need, not to meet the need of the people on the front line that are generating all that data you're trying to analyze.
Totally right.
And it's like, if it's not adding value, if it's not making their lives easier, why would they want to use it? You're just slowing me down. I'm here to sell. I'm not here to be a data entry clerk.
Yeah, that's the key. I think, again, my passion in the subject of CRM is that it's there to help make that person's job easier and faster and more efficient. Nobody has got a passion. They don't come into their day going, man, I can't wait to send 50 emails out this morning, right? I can't wait to go update my activity log in my CRM. No one with a sane mind that's in sales thinks that that's the thing that they're looking forward to doing. Yep. But if they understand how to use the tool and the tool is in a positioned in a way to say, these are the efficiency gains. If you do X, it is going to produce Y for you. Yep. And it becomes part of the nature of what they do every single day. If you can do most of that stuff on a mobile device and you're not held hostage, then everybody's winning, right?
Yep. So Darren, we're at our time here on this episode of Sales Lead Dog. I really appreciate you coming on. This has been a lot of fun for me listening to you. You have great energy. I absolutely love your energy. If people want to reach out and connect with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Yeah, sure. They can do it one of two ways. You can email me directly at Darren, just like Darren, Samantha's husband from Bewitched in the 1970s, right? DARREN with an E. At streamline.auto, or of course, you can call me or shoot me a text at 407-417-3423.
Awesome. If you didn't catch that, don't worry about it. We have it in our show notes. You can get that at impellercrm.com/sales lead dog. We'll get not only this episode, but all our episodes of Sales Lead Dog. So be sure to check that out. Be sure to subscribe. We greatly appreciate that. And don't be shy about reaching out to Darren. Darren, thank you so much for coming on Sales Lead Dog, and welcome to the Sales Lead Dog Pack.
Chris, it has been my absolute pleasure. Thanks so much, and I hope everybody has a great weekend. See ya.
As we end this discussion on Sales Lead Dog, be sure to subscribe to catch all our episodes. On social media, follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. Watch the videos on YouTube, and you can also find our episodes on our website at impellercrm.com/Sales Lead Dog. Sales Lead Dog is supported by Impeller CRM, delivering objectively better CRM for business, guaranteed.